Living alone is often seen as a challenge, but it can be the greatest catalyst for personal growth. Solitude gives women the space to reconnect with themselves, fostering emotional resilience and self-discovery. As Joe Dispenza emphasizes, the mind grows stronger when it's forced to adapt, and women who embrace solitude learn to trust their inner strength, becoming unstoppable in the face of life's hurdles. This empowerment is built one moment at a time. In the following sections, we'll dive deeper into the science behind emotional resilience, confidence building, and how mindfulness plays a vital role in this journey. Stay with us, the science behind emotional resilience. Joe Dispenza's perspective building on the idea of cultivating inner strength through solitude. Let's explore the science behind emotional resilience. Joe Dispenza, a leading expert on neuroscience and human transformation, teaches us that our brains are wired to adapt and evolve, especially when faced with adversity. For women living alone, this adaptation process becomes a powerful tool for developing resilience. When a person is forced to navigate life alone, they encounter challenges that test their emotional stability. Women who live alone are often required to deal with everything from daily tasks to unexpected crises without relying on others. This situation can be tough, but it also acts as a training ground for emotional resilience. Each obstacle they face, from financial struggles to personal heartaches, becomes an opportunity for growth, ultimately strengthening their emotional fortitude. Joe Dispenza's work on neuroplasticity explains that our brains are constantly rewiring themselves based on our experiences. When women face emotional setbacks, their brains are forced to adapt by creating new neural pathways. This ability to adapt helps women bounce back more quickly from adversity, making them emotionally tougher and more equipped to handle future challenges. Through this process, living alone becomes not just an exercise in independence, but a transformative journey that reshapes the way women think and feel. Take the story of Laura, a woman who moved to a new city for work and was initially overwhelmed by loneliness. The lack of a social support system left her feeling vulnerable and anxious, especially during difficult times. However, over time, she learned to rely on herself. She started meditating, journaling, and exploring personal growth techniques inspired by Dispenza's teachings. As she faced each struggle, she noticed how her ability to cope improved. The challenges that once seemed insurmountable began to feel more manageable as she developed new, healthier ways of responding to stress and setbacks. This process of emotional adaptation, driven by the necessity of living alone, made her stronger than she had ever imagined. By embracing the science of neuroplasticity and using the tools of emotional growth, women who live alone often experience profound transformations. They go from being reactive to becoming proactive in their emotional responses. This transformation doesn't happen overnight, but over time, as they navigate life's challenges, they build an emotional resilience that is unshakable. Through the lens of Joe Dispenza's teachings, it becomes clear that living alone can be one of the most powerful ways to develop emotional strength. It is through solitude that women tap into their full potential, embracing life's obstacles not as burdens, but as opportunities for personal growth. This science-backed process of emotional resilience builds a solid foundation for long-term empowerment, ultimately allowing women to face the world with unwavering confidence. Developing unshakable confidence. The benefits of self-sufficiency building on the emotional resilience fostered through solitude. Let's now dive into how this journey also leads to the development of unshakable confidence. Women who live alone often find themselves in situations that require them to be entirely self-reliant. With no one to lean on, they quickly realize that the only person they can truly depend on is themselves. This realization is powerful, as it sparks a sense of independence that fosters self-confidence. The process of becoming self-sufficient is a gradual one, but the rewards are immense. When a woman takes control of her life, managing finances, handling emergencies, and making decisions on her own, she begins to build a profound sense of self-worth. At first, it may feel overwhelming, but with every challenge conquered, her confidence grows. The more she handles on her own, the more she believes in her ability to navigate any situation that comes her way. This transformation doesn't just improve her practical skills, but also strengthens her belief in her own value and capabilities. A story that perfectly captures this is that of Emily, a young woman who moved to a remote area for work. At first, she felt isolated and unsure, especially when small issues like car problems or illness arose. She missed the comfort of family and friends, and the thought of handling these challenges alone was daunting. But over time, Emily learned to trust herself. She started fixing minor issues around her apartment, learned basic car repairs, and began tackling her problems with a sense of confidence she hadn't known before. The more she solved, the more she believed in her strength, eventually becoming a go-to problem solver for her friends and colleagues. Emily's journey from doubt to confidence shows the remarkable power of self-sufficiency. Joe Dispenza's teachings on the mind-body connection further explain how this growing self-reliance leads to deeper confidence. He highlights that when we experience success, even small ones, our brain rewires itself to embrace new opportunities. This process creates a snowball effect. As women continue to face challenges alone, their confidence grows exponentially. Instead of looking for validation from others, they begin to see themselves as their own source of strength. The fear of failure diminishes, replaced by a sense of empowerment and trust in their own abilities. Through solitude, women who live alone often discover not only their independence but also their limitless potential. Each small victory builds the foundation for greater self-belief, allowing them to approach life with confidence and a positive mindset. This transformation is a direct result of their ability to handle life's ups and downs on their own, without the crutch of others. Over time, this self-sufficiency evolves into a powerful confidence that can weather any storm, both big and small. In essence, the solitude that once seemed intimidating becomes the perfect environment for building self-reliance. The women who live alone are often the most confident, not because life has been easy, but because they have learned that they are capable of anything they set their minds to. This growing confidence doesn't just make them stronger, it makes them unstoppable. Embracing vulnerability as strength, understanding the inner transformation building upon the confidence developed through solitude and self-sufficiency, we now explore how living alone can also teach women to embrace vulnerability as a source of strength. While confidence often stems from overcoming external challenges, true empowerment comes from facing our inner emotions and embracing the parts of ourselves that we may have once considered weaknesses. Women who live alone are presented with countless opportunities to explore their inner world and, in doing so, realize that vulnerability is not something to hide from but a powerful tool for growth. Living alone creates an environment where women have the space to feel and process emotions without fear of judgment. They confront loneliness, self-doubt, and sometimes fear of the unknown. It is in this vulnerability that they find their truest form of strength. Through these raw moments, they come to understand that vulnerability allows them to break free from societal expectations and explore who they truly are, unfiltered. They learn that facing their deepest fears or pain head-on doesn't make them weaker. It makes them stronger. Consider Sarah, a woman in her 30s who moved into her own apartment after a difficult breakup. Initially, she tried to suppress her emotions and keep busy to avoid feeling the pain. But eventually, in the solitude of her apartment, she had no choice but to confront her feelings of heartbreak, loneliness, and uncertainty about her future. Instead of running from these emotions, Sarah chose to sit with them. She cried, reflected, and spent time journaling about her feelings. As she faced her vulnerability, something extraordinary happened. She began to feel lighter, stronger, and more connected to her authentic self. This experience of embracing her vulnerability transformed her. It showed her that real strength comes from accepting and understanding your emotions, not from hiding them. Joe Dispenza's teachings on neuroplasticity provide an insightful perspective on how embracing vulnerability can actually rewire the brain to build emotional resilience. When women allow themselves to feel vulnerable, they create new neural pathways that help them process emotions with more clarity and strength. Each time they face their vulnerabilities, they strengthen their emotional foundation, making them more adaptable to life's unpredictable nature. Living alone forces women to take responsibility for their emotional well-being. There is no one else to blame, no distractions to hide behind. This stark reality provides the perfect opportunity to nurture personal growth. Over time, as they face difficult emotions, Women who live alone discover a profound sense of empowerment in embracing their vulnerabilities. They realize that their fears and weaknesses are merely stepping stones toward growth and transformation. In the end, the ability to embrace vulnerability as strength is one of the most powerful outcomes of living alone. It is through this process that women unlock their true potential, discovering that the very qualities they once feared are the ones that give them the courage to face life with resilience, confidence, and unshakable strength. Mastering the art of self-reflection. The path to clarity and inner peace. Continuing from the theme of embracing vulnerability as strength, let's now explore how living alone provides a unique opportunity for deep self-reflection, which ultimately leads to greater clarity and inner peace. When surrounded by others, distractions are inevitable, making it difficult to understand our true desires, struggles, and goals. However, in solitude, women find a quiet space to reflect on their experiences, emotions, and aspirations without interference. This introspection is often the key to unlocking the next level of personal growth. Living alone encourages women to slow down and take stock of their lives. They can examine their past decisions, evaluate their relationships, and gain insight into their own behaviors. With no one else to influence their thinking, they are free to be honest with themselves. This raw self-awareness helps them to gain clarity about what they truly want from life. They can assess what is serving them and what needs to change in order to create a more fulfilling future. Through this process of self-reflection, they begin to gain an inner peace that comes from knowing themselves on a deeper level. Take the example of Lily, a woman in her late 20s who had been caught up in the whirlwind of social expectations and the pressures of a demanding career. Over time, she started to feel disconnected from her true self. It was only when she moved into her own apartment that she had the space to pause and reflect. The quiet moments of solitude allowed her to evaluate the life she had been living and to ask herself tough questions. Am I truly happy? Am I living in alignment with my values? At first, it was uncomfortable. The answers didn't come easily, and there were moments of self-doubt. But as she continued to reflect, a profound shift began to occur. She realized that she had been prioritizing external success over personal fulfillment. With this clarity, she began making small changes, setting healthier boundaries, dedicating time to hobbies, and realigning her career path with her passions. Over time, Lily found inner peace because she was no longer living a life dictated by others' expectations, but one that was aligned with her authentic self. Joe Dispenza's research on neuroplasticity also sheds light on how self-reflection changes the brain. By actively engaging in this process, women train their minds to focus on what truly matters. This rewiring of the brain enables them to make better decisions, react more thoughtfully to challenges, and foster a sense of calm in the midst of chaos. It's through this continuous reflection that they are able to develop an inner peace that isn't shaken by external circumstances. Through self-reflection, women who live alone also become more attuned to their intuition. They learn to trust their inner voice, which guides them toward their most authentic desires and choices. This heightened self-awareness not only cultivates inner peace but also creates a profound sense of control over their own lives. Ultimately, mastering the art of self-reflection helps women living alone navigate life with clarity, confidence, and tranquility. In the quiet of solitude, they find the answers they've been searching for, leading to a life of peace and purpose. By understanding who they truly are, they step into their full power, ready to embrace whatever comes next with grace and resilience. Creating healthy boundaries, the key to emotional balance and freedom. Building on the inner peace and clarity that come from self-reflection, let's explore how living alone empowers women to establish healthy boundaries, which are crucial for emotional balance and personal freedom. Once women begin to understand themselves better, they recognize the importance of setting boundaries that protect their well-being, prioritize their needs, and foster healthier relationships. Living alone provides the space and time necessary to understand where their limits lie, and more importantly, to enforce them with confidence. When living independently, there is no pressure from roommates, family members, or significant others to compromise personal space or values. The solitude allows women to really listen to themselves and what they need. Whether it's saying no to social invitations that feel draining or limiting the time spent on work-related activities, creating these boundaries helps preserve emotional energy. It's an empowering process that enables women to take control of their lives, ensuring they are not overwhelmed by the demands and expectations of others. Take a moment to imagine the story of Clara, a woman in her early 40s who had always struggled with saying no. For years, she allowed herself to be stretched thin by friends, family, and work commitments. After moving into her own apartment, Clara began reflecting on her life and realized that she had been sacrificing her own needs for the sake of others. She was constantly exhausted, overwhelmed, and emotionally drained. It was only in the quiet of her solitude that she realized the importance of setting boundaries, both for her own mental health and for maintaining relationships that truly brought her joy. At first, Clara felt guilty when she said no to people or situations that were no longer serving her. But over time, she realized that setting boundaries didn't mean she was being selfish. It meant she was valuing herself. She started scheduling time for self-care, practicing mindfulness, and learning how to assert herself. Clara's newfound ability to create and maintain healthy boundaries allowed her to regain her emotional balance, and she began feeling more energized, centered, and free. Joe Dispenza's insights on the mind-body connection also emphasize the importance of boundaries in cultivating emotional health. He explains that when we establish clear boundaries, we are teaching our brains to prioritize what's essential and protect ourselves from unnecessary stress. In essence, healthy boundaries allow us to maintain emotional homeostasis and prevent burnout. For women who live alone, this practice of boundary setting creates an internal environment where peace, balance, and freedom can thrive. Living alone can serve as a crash course in self-care. Women have the opportunity to experiment with different ways to protect their energy and focus on their own emotional needs. They can create daily rituals that honor their mental and physical health, set specific time limits for work, and carve out moments of solitude for reflection or creative expression. Ultimately, by creating healthy boundaries, women who live alone are not just protecting themselves. They are ensuring they have the emotional capacity to pursue their dreams, nurture the relationships that matter most, and continue to grow into the best version of themselves. It is through these boundaries that they achieve true freedom, emotional balance, and a deeper sense of inner strength. Embracing independence. Unleashing your full potential building upon the power of creating healthy boundaries, let's dive into the profound transformation that living alone offers women. The opportunity to fully embrace their independence and, in turn, unleash their full potential. When women take ownership of their lives, free from external influences and obligations, they create the space to explore their limitless capabilities, dreams, and desires. This independence is not only about physical space but about emotional and mental freedom that empowers them to live life on their own terms. Independence doesn't simply mean living alone. It's about taking full responsibility for one's choices, actions, and destiny. When women live alone, they can build a life that is solely focused on their aspirations and not limited by the needs or expectations of others. They have the autonomy to make decisions based on their own desires, whether it's pursuing a career change, moving to a new city, or exploring new hobbies. The freedom of independence nurtures a sense of self-reliance and confidence that would otherwise be difficult to cultivate in a shared living space. Take the story of Emily, a woman in her early 30s, who had always depended on others for emotional support and validation. She had been in long-term relationships and lived with roommates, but never truly felt like she was living for herself. It wasn't until Emily decided to live alone that she realized the true power of independence. Initially, she felt uncertain and even a bit lonely. But over time, Emily began to discover the profound beauty of relying on herself. She started pursuing activities she had always dreamed of, learning to play the guitar, taking weekend trips, and focusing on her career goals. As Emily embraced her independence, she found that her self-confidence soared. She no longer needed external validation because she had learned to trust her own judgment and capabilities. Her personal and professional life flourished as she took bold steps toward her goals, knowing that she had the power to create the life she truly wanted. Through her journey, Emily learned that independence wasn't about isolation. It was about the freedom to be unapologetically herself. The teachings of Joe Dispenza about neuroplasticity and self-empowerment resonate deeply here. He explains that when women embrace their independence, they not only free themselves emotionally but also change their brain's wiring, enabling them to take on challenges and opportunities with a greater sense of self-efficacy. By creating new neural pathways through independent action, they become more resilient, adaptable, and innovative. Living alone teaches women to trust their inner strength and instincts. They learn how to navigate life on their own terms, without constantly relying on others for approval or direction. This independence nurtures a sense of autonomy that fosters creativity, ambition, and the courage to pursue big dreams. Women who live alone are in the driver's seat of their own lives, steering toward the future they've always desired. In the end, embracing independence allows women to unleash their full potential. It gives them the tools to design a life of purpose, growth, and empowerment, free from external distractions or limitations. By fully embracing their independence, women not only transform their own lives but also inspire others to do the same. Living alone becomes not just an act of solitude but a powerful affirmation of self-worth and the belief that they are capable of achieving anything they set their minds to. Thank you for watching this empowering journey of independence and strength. If you found inspiration in the words shared, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and show some love by leaving a comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. How has embracing independence transformed your life? Share your stories with us. And hey, if you want to continue this adventure of self-growth and empowerment, be sure to check out our other videos. We've got so much more coming your way, and trust me, you won't want to miss out on the powerful content we're creating just for you. Keep that positive energy flowing, and let's keep growing together.